It's all
We're live on
terrible.
YouTube.
Somebody play me in chess.
Just give your username to YouTube and see how many challenges you get.
I just want the people I'm playing to play.
We're going live on Facebook.
I'm gonna spend another 3 days before I play.
Yeah. I think this is like maybe the longest, like most moves we've ever made.
Back and forth, dude. You're gonna kill me though. Like,
Just-
I mean, I like
Just
the game.
because
The game is over, but
I make blunders.
I blundered. The last move I made
I blunder.
was a blunder.
I blunder sometimes.
I did not see you moving the rook. That rook won over. I just did.
I don't remember what I did.
Remember, I had my queen and then two rooks, and then I moved a rook over, and then all you did was move this rook over to my queen.
Oh yeah.
I just did not see that coming.
Ah!
Yeah.
Isn't that funny? Like it's like the moves that blow your mind the most are typically one space.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, I'm gonna take this. For me, it's almost always the pawns, because you like will get a pawn structure going, and then you start doing like other pieces, and you forget, oh, he can still move that pawn
one more up.
one more space.
Yeah.
And he does it, and all of a sudden you go like,
Oh.
you just start freaking out that like,
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Juan, you can go anytime. We'll just keep talking until you start it, really.
yeah.
Well, I just don't want to record before that.
Well, it's okay. It's a bonus.
Here's
Yeah.
to good
We
friends.
call that a bonus, Juan.
Cheers. Cheers. Kind of sort of an oaky afterbirth.
What was that?
She did tell me to get a beer and some cheese fries over at Eskimo Joe's.
That's very nice, lovely. I only hope you feel this way when I'm done. Because I could destroy this night in 2 seconds.
Why is that funny?
Well, I think it's a bit funny to be trying to define nothing.
Smooth as a bourbon on a summer day. Strong as a peated scotch in the winter night. This is a fair warning. The Catholic Man Show is about to begin.
Slap some bacon on a biscuit and let's go. We're burning daylight.
Welcome to the Catholic Man Show. We're on the Lord's team, the winning side. So raise your glass. Show's dedicated to all our West Coast listeners. This is for you guys. We are recording later than normal this evening. The East Coast guys are probably already asleep.
Yeah. It's like 10:15 over there.
Yeah. So this is just for all you West Coast guys.
I'll be asleep at 10:15.
Hopefully.
I won't be.
No. But welcome to the Catholic Man Show. I'm Adam Minahan sitting here with David Niles. Thankful to be here. Thankful to be a part of the show.
I just really appreciate your thankfulness, Adam.
I'm grateful. I'm full of gratitude.
Yeah,
I'm humble to be in the room with you.
that's true.
We have Juan on controlling the show. The controller. Do you like that? Do you
Yeah.
like that name, Juan? The controller?
Now, when we say he's the controller, are we doing that weird government thing where the word is comptroller, but
No,
it's
no.
pronounced controller?
No. If
That
he was
is
our
the- that is
comptroller,
the
we'd
weirdest
be in
thing.
trouble.
Because the comptroller has like money.
Right. We'd be in trouble if Juan was in charge of that. All of a sudden, we'd have a
Can
massive
you
smoker.
like? Yeah, I was gonna say like, can you imagine the ridiculous things and ridiculous quantities of things?
we would have.
One like,
Juan is like, we're replacing these light bulbs in the back with T-bone steaks. It looks really great.
but there's this thing where if you electrify them, you can cook them,
Yeah. So
and it would probably be delicious. But
we are San Jim today.
when Juan buys salt, he buys it like by the gallon. I don't know if they really sell it by the
is
gallon,
that the
but
unit
it's
of
like,
is that the correct unit of measure?
yeah. So I was recently trying to.
Yeah. I'm just gonna keep going.
I took the
It's
girls
pounds.
fishing.
I think it's pounds.
Ounces make pounds, you know.
Yes, but not gallons.
Well, I think they could actually. I think ounces could make a gallon. But I took the girls fishing. We caught.
You did?
We caught nothing. This is a couple weeks ago.
What? And you didn't even, have you told Luke this? Luke would
no.
be pumped to hear this.
Well, we didn't catch anything.
He'd still be pumped.
On the way home, I was trying to tell, like, initiate the girls into like the fishing tradition of lying about the fish that you catch. But I didn't want to tell them we're gonna lie
about this, right?
So I said, well, when you go fishing, you tend to over-exaggerate the fish that you catch. What's over-exaggerate? Well,
would Aquinas approve of this, do you think?
It's like, let's say you catch 2 fish, and you say, oh, we all caught 2 fish. Okay. And then, like, later on, like a week later, there was a character in a book, or I don't remember exactly what the situation was, where it was obvious they were lying, and Elizabeth goes, are they over-exaggerating? And that's when I realized, like, it's too soon.
Yeah.
It was too soon for the whole fishing thing with the
little girls.
Yeah. But anyway.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. They said, you know what? Don't worry about that. Well, forget about that word.
You know what? Yeah.
Forget about that word. We'll come back to that word later.
Right. Very good.
Yeah.
Should we get into the whiskey
Let's
this
open it
evening?
up. Yeah, because I was just noticing it's from Oregon.
Yes, it is. So here's the deal. Connor Hall, a patron member of ours, who's been a patron member for a while, is sent us a bottle of whiskey, and it has been a while,
Yeah,
since we've had anybody send us.
There used to be a tradition about us getting whiskey from people, and we would toast to them, and then like just people stopped sending it. You know, the pandemic maybe. I don't know.
Is that what we're blaming you on?
You can do that.
Everybody
you can
blames
just always. Oh well, COVID.
Well, COVID.
I don't know. But thank Connor.
Connor, thank you for sending this to us.
Thank you.
Will you read what it is?
It's West.
Don't spill it.
No, I'm not going to do that. Westward American Single Malt Whiskey Stout Cask.
Yes.
So Oregon Straight Malt Whiskey, finished in stout casks.
It's appropriate that I shout out to all our West Coast listeners.
It's almost like you did it on purpose.
Man, that's awesome. It's so great.
Here you go.
Thank you. Oh, here's Juan's.
Yeah.
So Connor, thank you so much for sending this to us. I'm pumped to try it. So
let's pour one for Jim, and then I'll drink it.
Fair enough. So what I just read quickly on there that Westward uses stout cask barrels that have been aged. The barrels that have been aged in stout for at least 6 months, up to 3 years. 6 months to 3 years.
Okay.
Send it back, and the Westward regular whiskey is aged for 3 years. So this one is their main line, and then they take it and age it for a year in the stout cask barrels.
So this is a 4-year-old whiskey?
4-year-old whiskey.
Okay.
So I like.
Is that why it's straight? I mean, I forget. Do you have to be aged 4 years to be a straight whiskey? Honestly, like, I get the rules confused.
I like the color of
it's
this.
It's a good amber color. It kind of has an amber smell.
You know what? That's the one thing I don't like about art. I like to have a dark color whiskey.
I do too. Yeah.
I don't like the light.
Honestly, like
color
when
whiskeys.
I first started drinking Ardbeg, it weirded me out that it was
right.
so light.
It's
like,
light.
Oh well, this isn't gonna have any flavor.
Right.
It's mostly water, and then it punches you in the face. But I'm with you. I appreciate a good rich color.
It has a very malty, caramel, toast, like toasted
coconut, I think is what
maybe.
It is. Cocoa nut.
So we should all toast Connor. Do you want me to go first?
Would you like to go first?
No, I'll let you go first.
You want me to go first?
Yeah.
And take all the good stuff?
Yeah, go ahead. Or you want me to go?
I'll let you go first.
Okay, so Connor, may your mind be filled with prudence. May your heart be filled with justice. May your backbone be stilled with fortitude. May your veins run with temperance.
And blood.
And may and may your greatest virtuous act today be the smallest of tomorrow.
Hear, hear.
Cheers.
To Connor and to Jesus.
Wait, you didn't even give yours. Spit that back out and give it.
I'm drinking to your toast, and then I'm going to give mine.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
I'd like to raise my glass to a man that I've never met. A man that I'm sure I'd be friends with. A man of generosity. Man of charity. Strong man. Connor is a man with a gorgeous flowing beard. Never met him, as I said, but there's just some things you can tell about a man. Real strong, hairy forearms. That's the kind of man Connor is. And I'd like to raise my glass to that man. May there be more men like him in the world. To Connor.
I didn't know hairy forearms is something that
Oh, yeah, you want
you
like a
aspire
good,
to.
fair, hairy. You want hairy forearms and then not
in the biceps.
upper arms. What is that?
Juan, why don't you give a toast in Spanish, please?
No, and don't even worry about it because like nobody's gonna know what you say.
Yeah.
So
It's okay.
Connor, que la riqueza de este whisky y la satisfacción que compartimos al tomarlo sea una reflexión de tu vocación y la completación de ella en esta vida. Salud.
Amen.
Salud.
Oh, salud.
Did you say something about his reflexes?
No.
I'm pretty sure you did.
I'm pretty.
I'm pretty sure I heard reflexion or something.
I think this is a delicious whiskey.
It's very, very good. Especially for only being aged 4 years. You can really
It is. Like,
you can taste the stout
Yes, you
in
can.
it. Which is very interesting.
It's chocolatey.
Uh-huh.
I think the malt also.
Yeah,
comes
kind
up.
of like a not cream, but of like the creamy texture or something of the stout.
Yeah, it's really good.
I like it.
Yeah. Way to go, Connor. Thank you so much for
Thank you
sending
very
this to
much.
us.
Yeah, I always appreciate getting something like this that's like represents a local flavor.
Right.
You know, that's one of the great things about the whiskey scene is that
It's starting to be like the brewery scene, the
Right.
beer scene.
right. But let's be honest, like these days, the beer scene is largely the same.
Right.
You go, like everybody's got a great IPA. Everybody's got, like I would like to see the beer scene actually get a little bit more localized, like for a local flavor. Like, hey, here we brew these kinds of beers. I know this isn't what you're used to drinking, but that's what we drink here.
Yeah.
Like that would be really cool.
There's a couple things on Patreon that I want to bring to everybody's attention.
Okay.
One is that this month we are giving away a Suma to one of the top 25 or up a month patrons. And that doesn't mean I want everybody to go and like become $25 patrons for the Suma. Like, this is just a thank you for the ones that have already been there.
Is that what the wrestlers wear in the sumo matches?
No.
The belt?
No. And then we're also giving away a
Different
hat.
thing. We could give
for
one of
the
those
10.
away.
Yeah, we could give one of those away. Also, we're doing monthly meetings. We're actually doing one tomorrow with Jonathan Conrad. St. Stephen Hoole puts it together. But it's a Zoom meeting to bring all the guys, who support the show together and talk about faith and fatherhood.
So many great guys
Yeah.
in the council, really.
So thank you to you, gentlemen. When we get back, we're going to talk about the gear and then go into a topic. We'll be right back. That is muy delicioso.
I wonder what the price point is on it.
$89.
Wow. That's
So
a
you
lot. That's a lot for a 4-year-old whiskey.
Pre-shipping.
I'm going to be honest, that's more than I thought.
Just so you know, my toast was way better than yours.
Your toast, nobody could even understand what you said.
I thought mine was pretty solid. I'm just going to...
I also liked mine. I took a new direction with it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right into crashing.
No. It's exactly where I wanted to go. All builds up to the forearm hair.
Just when you think I'm in the West.
Just when you think you know me. Welcome back to the Catholic Man Show. I'm David Niles. With Adam Minahan and Juan Posada. enjoying a nice glass of whiskey. We do have an empty chair though today. We're missing Jeem.
Gene. Juan Deacon Garlic wanted me, like, as I was trying to figure out what we were going to talk about today, he wanted us to quiz you on the show and have a quiz to Juan to see how he does. And I almost said, you know what, that would be really fun and easy for show prep, but I didn't do it. But it could be on the horizon.
I like the idea.
You do?
I'm always up for a challenge.
That's something I like about you, Juan.
What is the NBA professional basketball team in the state of Florida?
The Velociraptors.
Velociraptors. Nice. No, you're wrong. It was a great guess, though. Miami Heat, but you didn't even use a city name in.
Which is a bold. Which I think that's actually no. It's actually a good idea.
Yeah, because
it's just one less thing to be
you
wrong about. Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Well done, Juan. Hey, Dave, how's your prayer life?
It's okay. It maintains.
Well, no, there's no maintaining.
I mean, I am still praying.
That's good.
You know, like, I understand that, yeah, like, oh, you're either progressing or regressing. Yeah, I mean, that's true, but it's not that, like, okay, so I've maintained my prayer regimen about I get up early in the morning. Yeah, I've been faithful to my
prayer life.
Yeah, to my duties of prayer. Get up in the morning, say my Auxilium Christianorum prayers. I read the readings for the day, and I use those to meditate for at least 20 minutes, silent contemplative prayer. So I'm still doing that. And I think I could keep doing that for a long time. And, you know, just because I don't pray more doesn't mean that my prayer life isn't, you know, growing.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And also, I don't think that you can expect your prayer life to always get better. Sometimes
it depends what you mean by better.
It will get, well, for you to like.
Because like consolation may not be better insofar as.
No, it's not. And it even begs the question, are you capable of even saying how your prayer life is?
Well, yeah, I mean, St. Paul doesn't even know. I mean.
Because, well, what are you going to judge it by? The way you feel about your prayer life, you know, and the way you feel about your prayer life might not be an accurate reflection of how good your prayer life or how poor your prayer life really is, you know.
True.
So
True.
And you're definitely going to go through periods where you don't feel as good about your prayer life, but that doesn't mean that your prayer life is going backwards, or maybe it is, and like maybe God wants to show you something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Just, you know, you just do your best. That's what you should do, and like.
But don't use that as a cop-out either.
No, don't. I mean, because if you are, then you know you're not doing your best. You know, like, be honest about it. But if you get caught up too much, you can get too scrupulous, you know, I think, sometimes. Scrupulosity is not my vice. You know, it's not the thing that I struggle with, but my prayer life is going well.
We're going to talk about prayer. We're going to talk about fruits of prayer based off of what the Catechism of the Council of Trent. Boom.
How's your prayer life, Adam?
It's going well. I also have been maintaining.
Yeah.
This week has been very hectic for me. And there were some moments where I just realized, you know what? I am absolutely doing the very best I can, even though I don't, like, there's not enough hours in the day to actually prepare or do what I would like to do in order to get ready for my tasks. But I did a really good job of allowing God to, I think, to rest in him, to like rely on him and be like, listen, Lord, you know, I want to do well for you, for your church. I feel exhausted right now, or I don't have the mental energy or the mental bandwidth to continue doing this. But I know that your grace is sufficient. So please, give me the grace to do this well.
Yeah, you know, you need 30 minutes of prayer every day, except when you're busy.
Right,
then you need an hour. Yeah.
Right.
So wait, do we have a man gear today?
We do. Let me finish this.
Oh yeah, please. We'll all watch.
So most of you know that I recently started a new job
Uh-huh.
at the Diocese of Tulsa in Eastern Oklahoma.
Yeah.
The communications director there. And when I got there and I started going through all these meetings, I realized very quickly I need to start taking notes. My other job didn't really take notes. That wasn't something that was a part of...
Because in sales, it's more about managing relationships,
Right.
managing people, which, people can do naturally.
And you utilize, like, whatever you have to remember, you email to them. There's just not a lot of note-taking.
Right.
And in this job, there's a lot of different departments. You have to be in discussion. You have to remember specific details, dates, times, specific events. And I realized real quick, I need to start note-taking. And I realized that I don't have a good note-taking structure. The last time I took notes was like in college 12 years ago.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, I really didn't have a great note-taking.
You're not writing in all caps anymore.
No.
Was that hard to
break? No.
Okay, it seems like it would be, because your whole life you wrote in all caps.
I still sometimes do.
Yeah, but you used to write in all caps, right?
Yes.
Your print.
Yes.
Seems like that'd be hard to break.
And so I realized, though, I didn't like to carry around notepads because then I struggled to find which notepad I was using that day.
Yeah,
and
I hate that because you start taking notes,
Right.
thinking, I'm going to have a lot of good stuff to take notes on.
Mhm.
And then I'll write down like one thing or two things and realize I don't need these notes. But now I have a whole page here in my notepad with these dumb things that I wrote down because I thought the things I was taking notes on were going to be more important.
Right. Yes.
And then they're not.
Right. So I started looking online to try to figure out like what's the best thing that I could use for note taking.
Yeah.
That would like keep all my notes together. I didn't want an iPad. I didn't want anything that was distracting.
Yeah.
Because that was a fear of mine. Like you get a tablet or something like that has all these different apps, and all of a sudden you're no longer taking notes, but you see all these dings and buzzes and notifications, and you're no longer focused on the meeting. But somebody played me in chess.
In chess.com, right?
Right. So. Not that you know anything about that. So I found this. It's called a Remarkable 2. That's what it's called. They have a Remarkable 1. This is the second edition, so it's called Remarkable 2. And so envision like those big filing cabinets, that the offices have, the old offices whenever everybody had paper.
Yeah.
It's kind of the younger generation probably didn't even know about these.
No.
But it's filing cabinet.
Yeah,
Imagine
they used to have this. It's like stuff made of trees. They would like pulp it and then press it into like a flat sheet.
Mm-hmm.
And then they would put lines on it going across, and you could actually inscribe on this material. Yeah. That was paper.
With feathers.
With feathers.
Sometimes with feathers.
So imagine like you have a filing cabinet, and then you open the drawer of the filing cabinet, and you have a bunch of file folders in the filing cabinet, and then you pull out the folder and you open it up, and then there's pieces of paper in there, right?
Yeah.
Well, this Remarkable 2 is basically that's what it is in a tablet. Okay.
It is a tablet.
It is a tablet, but it is a note-taking tablet.
All it does is it does more than take notes, but like
it's a PDF reader as well.
But it's like a word processor. It's just about Office. Not efficiency. It helps you be efficient.
Sure.
I guess.
But so what they really focus on the writing style, like how it feels when you're writing on this tablet, because you write on an iPad, it has that glass,
yeah,
and so it doesn't feel like paper, doesn't feel like you're actually writing on paper. So they really focus on the texture and the feeling of writing, and they actually even make the sound of like paper and pencil. And so there's different, obviously you can have a calligraphy pen, mechanical pen, different styles, but what I was able to do is utilize this and put folders of specific things, specific departments within the chancellery that I would need to.
Dude, and it makes my cursive look way better.
Yes.
How does it do that?
Journaling, I mean, you could.
I think for a journal, I would like
to, because in journaling, I don't necessarily reference back to what I was writing unless it was like a specific date to try to find. Normally, at least when I'm journaling like, I'm completed today. Here's
I just want to get it out.
Yeah, I just want to get it out. And
healthy
then
exercise.
Maybe, maybe in 20 years, my sons will go back and read this. Like, I'm not going back to read it myself.
I journal about the garden. So that you gave me those like penny journal book. So
Yeah, the field notes.
I keep notes in there about like what day am I planting stuff, how's it going, do I like for instance, I just determined that like New Zealand spinach is gross. It's like thick and like who's growing New Zealand and so I just like made a note, don't ever plant New Zealand spinach. Because next year I won't remember like what was the gross spinach. Now I know New Zealand. So anyway, I write stuff down.
Nice. So the Remarkable 2, I've thoroughly enjoyed. It's really helped me stay organized. It's helped me. You can use it as a calendar as well. They have like calendar templates. They have line templates. They have all different types. Sheet music, even if you wanted to write sheet music. I really like it. I highly recommend it. It's not on the cheap side, but it's a tool. Consider it like a tool being used for, your job, your craft.
Get your company to buy it for you.
Yeah. So we're gonna talk about prayer life when we get back.
See, that's pretty good cursive, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like totally readable.
Mm-hmm.
It's a new thing for me. Yeah, how much was that? $200, $250?
No, I think because I got the upgraded version. I think it was $450.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot.
It's a lot of money. Mm-hmm. I mean, but it's not an iPad.
How much are they? Aren't they less than that?
I don't think. I think the new ones are, $700-800.
You serious?
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
It's ridiculous. I feel like tablets are going out of style, kind of. There for a while,
$800.
Everybody had a tablet, and now I feel like who's buying tablets?
You know who did? The bishop.
He just bought a tablet?
No, he has a tablet. Doesn't have a computer.
Yeah. So like Juan had that Microsoft
Surface.
I think those are kind of cool because it's powerful enough to be both, right?
Mm-hmm. Ooh, I better get this out because we're going to be talking about it.
Question from YouTube.
Okay.
Does the Remarkable back up your notes into the cloud or elsewhere?
Yes, that's a great question. Man, I wish I would have. So it does. It can back it up. You can download your app on your phone, so it'll transfer all your notes onto your phone. It also will. You can send all your notes to an email. And also has a text.
Where it puts it all into text.
Yeah.
Converts your handwriting to text.
Text, yes. Handwriting to text feature. I haven't utilized it yet because I haven't had a reason to.
Mm-hmm.
But I normally just send it via PDF. However I write it.
Is there
in fact, that's
can
how
you use it with a keyboard?
No.
Because it doesn't have email on it. Well, it does have email on it.
It has Wi-Fi. Doesn't have email. I mean, it just has a outbound. You can't receive.
Because you can't check your email on it.
No. So good question.
I wonder how it sends the email then.
Via Wi-Fi.
But whose email account does it come from?
Well, you set it up.
The Remarkable email account.
Yeah. In fact, that's what I sent it to.
I know. I saw that.
Am I boring you?
No, I'm just tired.
And then last question from Noah Coley says, we have talked several times about doing an episode on finding a spiritual director and how do we go about getting one. Are we ever going to do it? Have we done one?
We've definitely talked about it.
Yeah.
I don't think we've done a whole episode on it. I don't know that we could do a whole episode.
I don't know how I could do a whole episode on that. Especially because that is going to vary greatly on where you live, because there are some places that have enough priests that could actually take you on as a spiritual directee, and there's some places who are so lacking priests that it's almost kind of impossible to have.
I don't think we've done we haven't done an episode on it, but I remember we talked a long time about it one time.
Mm-hmm. I don't know which one, but
I don't either. we've covered it, I think, fairly well.
That's all I have to say about that. Welcome back to the Catholic Man Show. Sipping on a little bit of Westford Stout Cask. Thank you, Connor Hall, for sending it to us. We just got done talking about the Remarkable 2. We had a great question over the break asking if it has cloud features. It does. If you download the app on your phone, anything you write on there will be transferred over to your app. You can also send it, like all your notes, via email. So it's very functional.
Versatile.
Yes. So anyway, and we're going to talk about our prayer. We're going to talk about prayer life. We're going to talk about specifically fruits of prayer and what the Catechism of the Council.
Oranges.
Bananas.
Bananas?
It's bananas.
Oh. I think I'd rather have an orange.
Other than a banana?
If someone's going to peel
I'm not a big orange person, though.
If someone's going to peel, I like bananas, but if someone's going to peel the orange for me, I think I'd rather have an orange.
Nice. So we're gonna pull the information tonight from the Catechism of the Council of Trent. I really recommend.
Which is a book you should have.
Yeah, I really recommend it. If it's not in your library, I think you should go get one. If you go to CatholicSacramentals.org, you can buy a nice one like this one right here.
You can buy this edition, which is I was just looking at it before we started, and it's like, man, that is a nice book. It's just to look at. Would you look at it?
I know. It's very nice. It also is really good to brush up on. If you have little kids, like to brush up for yourself, not for them, but to brush up on yourself, to help teach them. But in regards to like the 10 Commandments, our Lord's Prayer, what the sacraments are, because it breaks down each individual one and goes into depth, and it's very precise. It's very.
That's what I like about it is, man, when they put this together, it's razor precision.
It is.
Yeah, which is nice.
And so anyway, so I wanted to talk about one of the sections that it has. It's at the very beginning of when they talk about the Lord's Prayer, and they're talking about the fruits of prayer. And they give quite a few different fruits of prayer, and some of them I think are obvious, and then some of them are like, I didn't really consider that as a fruit of prayer, because it's almost maybe not a negative aspect, but it just seems like
not what you would have expected.
Not what I would have expected. So one of the things, though, it talks about is in the council, like the Catechism itself, is it talks about instructions for the priest, like what to do as a priest to teach the laity about the faith. So in like the section on the Eucharist, it has a whole section in there about here is what you should do in saying the Mass and how, transubstantiation works, how what you say has meaning, what you can eliminate or not say in the Mass, what's important, what's not important to make it a valid consecration. It's the whole, do the red, say the black.
Yeah.
And so, but it really pushes, I think, the priests on the importance of teaching the laity about the sacraments, about our faith, and how to do it.
Uh-huh.
And so I really appreciate that, just even from the laity's perspective, because I think a lot of times, I know for me personally, after I got out of college, I stopped thinking about different classes that I took in college.
Yeah.
As a priest, when you get out of seminary, you don't really think about philosophy as much, maybe, or specific aspects of theology. You have finance counsel. You have all these other things that you have to attend to, a lot of admin things.
Yeah.
So it's sometimes not easy to brush up on or remember exactly what I could see where that would be an issue, right?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot to remember.
Right. Yeah,
you know
absolutely.
what I mean?
Yes. So one of the things it says is that at the very beginning, it says one of the duties of the pastoral office, and in this is talking about the priesthood, is to instruct the people on Christian prayer.
Okay.
And so it goes through, here's why it's important, here's what prayer is, here's how to instruct them, and it actually breaks down the whole Our Father, line by line. I actually was intending on doing the Lord's Prayer as tonight's episode, but before I started going through the fruits of the prayer, I was like, well, this is a great one. We can do the Our Father later.
Yeah.
Let's touch on this first.
Sure.
So
Make sure to leave the bookmark in the right place so you can come back.
So I can come back to it. Yeah, and so if you have this edition of the Catechism of the Council of Trent, it starts on page 440.
I have this in my Verbum library. I don't have the actual book.
Actual book. So the first thing, and I think which is appropriate, the first thing it says of the fruits of prayer is it honors God. Right? If prayer is an act of worship, if it's an act of religion, which is a sub-virtue of justice, and justice is giving to that which is due, it would make sense that prayer is an honor towards God.
Yeah. So I've heard Father Ripperger say this before. And I don't know, like, if he's quoting this from a more official source or if this is his opinion. So it could be either one. But he said that 15 minutes of prayer a day is really what is
the minimum.
Is the minimum required to satisfy justice. And so if you're not praying,
your obligation of prayer,
your obligation. So like what I heard him saying was that if you're not praying 15 minutes a day, this is at least, I don't want to misquote him. This is how I took what he was saying, but this is what he said, that if you're not praying for 15 minutes a day, you're actually violating justice, what you owe to God, by the virtue of religion.
Right.
The virtue of religion.
The virtue of religion. Yeah. Yep. And so it says the prayer we confess our subjection to God and proclaim He is the author of all good. So it's just giving, like I said, giving honor to that which is due.
Yeah, which is also like what you should be doing first in your prayer. You know, like we talked recently about the acts.
Adoration. Yeah.
And what do you call that? What's it like when the A stands for?
Acronyms.
Acronym. Yeah.
High five.
Yeah, so adoration is the first thing you do, which is exactly what you're doing, what you just said.
Right. So I think that one's pretty self-explanatory. We'll move on to the next one. It talks about prayer obtains what we request.
Yes.
So adoration, we adore you, and then we ask for specific things.
Just to be clear, the acts is adoration, contrition, thanksgiving, supplication.
Supplication.
So supplication is the last part, but yes, the fruit is. It does.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that we talked to the last episode about prayer is that we should do it with the expectation that we will get what we ask for.
Ask and you shall receive, right?
Right. And if you don't pray with that mentality, then it's like, well, are you even really asking? It's kind of insulting to God that like He can give you anything. And if you're going to pray and you don't even expect Him, it's like what, you don't think He can give that to you? So like when we need to believe.
Yeah, it's a big compliment
to
faith God
into prayer.
It's a big compliment to God to ask for big graces.
Sure.
I think Padre Pio or somebody said that. That could be a misquote or one of those things that
it's something like that.
No one ever really said, but it's attributed to them.
Sure. I hope to have a lot of that stuff after I die.
I hope there's so many graphics and memes made of my sayings
stuff
that I didn't even say.
Just like really awesome stuff that I never said.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
So it says, in prayer we secure guidance and aid of the Holy Spirit. We have security and preservation of the faith, deliverance from punishment, divine protection under temptation, and victory over the devil.
Ha! Ha ha! Take that, devil.
So, and prayer is an accumulation of spiritual joy, which I thought was kind of cool. Like the idea of like prayer is the accumulation of spiritual joy.
That is interesting. Yeah, it's stuff like that.
Because
when you pray, you probably don't feel that way.
Personally, I don't I typically, not all the time. I mean, I have experienced joy in prayer, but typically my prayer I would not consider spiritual joy. Or at least I don't have a feeling of joy. There's a lot of times I'm thankful, and I come to our Father, in thanksgiving for all that He has given. But I don't have this like joy about me a lot of time, or like I wouldn't describe prayer life as joy. A lot of times my prayer life is very dry.
Yeah, I mean, and like sometimes I have like moments of joy in prayer, but I still when that happens, because when you think about how much God loves you, that's a pretty joyful thing. But it's not like I would say, oh, prayer is what was it like? What
is accumulation of spiritual joy?
Yeah, because a lot of it is. Lord, please forgive me.
Yeah.
I know I can't
believe I did that.
I know we talked about this yesterday, and
I told you.
swore
I told you I
wouldn't
wouldn't do this again.
Right. I meant it yesterday. I did, but I forgot. And,
Right.
So it's like, to me, that's not spiritual joy, but I think that they mean more broadly speaking that by prayer we accumulate
Right.
the spiritual joy. Yeah.
Right. The spiritual cookies.
I love cookies of all kinds, especially
you know what?
the spiritual
I don't.
ones.
I don't like ones with raisins. I don't like raisins. Like I don't like raisins
You
in
don't
my
like
cookies.
raisins at all?
I'm okay with raisins like in trail mix. Don't like it in cookies.
What
it
about
ruins the cookie.
What about in like bread?
No, not really.
Pamela used to be this way. I've converted her. Like she's tried it now more as an adult and says like, actually, yeah, this is good.
Yeah, but we all can't
That's
be
just
right.
weird.
Yeah.
I just don't know why you'd be hating on raisins. I mean, they're like little bursts of like flavor.
Oh, is it Teresa of Avila? Juan pulled it up. You pay God a great compliment by asking great things of him. It's pretty close to that. Off the cuff, that wasn't bad.
Is that her? Is that a real picture of her?
Yes.
She looks like a cartoon.
The next one they talk about is proof, which is I thought was interesting.
Is it in the pudding?
It's in the prayer. Proof is in the prayer.
A prayer pudding.
What
are you doing? Making some prayer pudding, babe.
Yeah, so I thought that was very
Looking for the
interesting.
proof in it.
I've heard people say before when talking to atheists or talking to people who are having a crisis of faith, like daring them like, hey, pray for 2 weeks and tell me your life doesn't change.
Yeah, or ask for something. Yeah.
Right. I think that's a little bold.
It is bold.
And presumptuous at times, maybe. But
God can do it, though.
But God can do it.
He can totally do it.
So when we get back, there's still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different proofs. We'll keep going.
It's a very fruitful thing.
Heyo.
What is AO? Like, what's that supposed to be anyway?
Heyo.
That's Deo.
Ayo.
Deo. Me say Deo.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Daylight come and me want to go home.
Actually, Ayo, I think Freddie Mercury did that.
Yeah, but was he really saying like Ayo? You know, I don't think so.
Okay.
I'll bet somebody knows. I'll bet there's somebody out there who knows. Welcome back to the Catholic Man Show. I pray that you're enjoying this episode.
If it's not, it'll be at least purgation for you.
That is possible. You
Sure.
could at least pray that it is.
Yeah. So we're talking about fruits of prayer. First one was prayer honors God. The second one is prayer obtains what we request. And then the third one is proof. So it's like you ask and then it happens. There's proof that God is listening.
Yeah.
And so you're like, okay, sweet. This is like, prayer is working. Obviously, I'm asking for things. It's working. It's coming to fruition. This prayer life is a cool thing, right? And then you ask, and it doesn't happen.
That is a challenge,
right?
And that is like a real.
It's a real thing.
Sometimes it's a real difficulty. Like,
and sometimes what you're asking for, you feel like this is
good.
only a good. Like, how could it not be a good?
Right.
I only want the best in this other person. I'm praying for this person. They're sick. I want them to be healed. So they're fit.
Right. Or you're praying for someone's conversion. I mean, like,
right.
How could that not be good for them? I don't know. Safe, like safe travels for people. Just what.
Right.
They're just everybody can come up with a good example, and it doesn't happen
all the time. And so one of the fruits that it talks about is unwise and indevout prayers unheard. So it talks about how this is the whole Garth Brooks unanswered prayer song.
Just the other night
at a hometown
football game, We can't keep singing, otherwise, like,
It'll get stuck in my head. And
no, he could sue us.
Oh yeah, that's true. So it talks about though in here.
I do not want Garth Brooks to sue me, even though it would be a great story.
But it says, sometimes indeed it happens that what we ask of God we do not obtain. But it is then especially that God looks to our welfare, either because he bestows on us other gifts of higher value and in greater abundance, or because what we ask, far from being necessary or useful, would prove superfluous or injurious.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, so I'm glad it said that because I didn't really like the title, which was Unwise and Indevout Prayers, because it's like, no, then why aren't my prayers getting answered? Because I'm praying devoutly, and I'm praying for something that's wise, like conversion. of
Sometimes you think it is wise, but then you realize, when it comes, but when it gets played out, you realize, well, there was actually a greater good that happens because it doesn't happen this way.
That doesn't mean it was a lack of wisdom on your part. It's not like praying for somebody's conversion, and it doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, okay, well, they had free will too, the other person needed to cooperate. But that is a wise thing to pray for. There's no way that you could say that praying for someone's conversion was unwise. But then it says in here that, like what you just read, sometimes there's a more abundant thing, and you can't be expected to know all possibilities. So it's not like, you're being unwise for praying something that's like reasonable and good, right? That's a wise thing to do. God sometimes, though, has unreasonable graces.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh,
okay.
That it's like, unreasonable. Jesus dying on the cross, it's not reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous for him, God of the universe, to condescend and to be slaughtered by us.
Mm-hmm.
Unreasonable. But sometimes he has unreasonable graces.
Yeah, I like that. It says also, so it's talking about also in here in distraction in prayer and when you're not praying well. So it says, since prayer is an elevation of the soul to God, if, while we pray, the mind, instead of being fixed upon God, is distracted and the tongue slurs over the words at random, without attention, without devotion, with what propriety can we give to such empty sounds the name of the Christian prayer?
What propriety can we give? Okay.
Give to such empty sounds.
Well, I do that a lot, so I don't want to.
And I can understand this as a dad, right? There's times that my son just says, "I'm sorry," like before we even say what you did wrong, before we even he just knows he did something wrong. He says, "I'm sorry." Well, you're not actually sorry. You're just saying that out of habit. You're just trying to say that to get my good graces and say, okay, good, let's move on.
But at the same time, he also really might be sorry, even though he doesn't know what for.
Yes, but it has to do with...
He can still I did something wrong. Like, I didn't want to do something wrong.
Well, I'm talking about when he just kind of nonchalantly just says that.
Yeah.
It's like, he knows, I can say this and just get out of this.
Yeah.
And so I can see how that plays out.
But when it happens to me, like when I pray the rosary, I think, I'll get to the end of a rosary, start praying the Glory Be, and realize, I didn't think about the mystery at all.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about used cars or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then I say, no, but this next decade, I'm going to do so good. And then the next thing I know, I'm finishing that decade, and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
I want to do better, but the spirit is willing.
The flesh is weak.
The flesh is weak.
But it almost seems like it's unjust, but then the next one kind of even gives even a different, it says, to devout prayer and dispositions, God grants more than we have asked.
Sweet.
So, I mean, to me, that, that is just so beautiful, right? Because there's so many times, and at least as a dad, I can relate to this, right? My son, he does something out of charity, out of pure charity, out of care for his brother or sister, didn't even realize I was watching, wasn't looking for anything. He just did it for the sake of good, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I see it, and it's like, you know what? Here you go, bud. Here's a jelly bean. Here's some jelly beans or something.
Here's a beer.
Here's a Gatorade.
Yeah.
Right? And so not only are you getting the recognition for doing something good, but I will also reward you even further. This is a poor analogy because this is
it's a
why
regular
is it, Juan,
analogy.
that I give when I give analogies, I always relate it back to graces
Sweets.
and treats.
You don't even like sweets that much.
You think
I know I don't even like sweets.
You
all
think
that
it
much.
would be me doing that?
I know. I don't know. The last time I did
Maybe-
that, I made a fool of myself with Tim Staples.
I know why. Because you've been conditioned to doing analogies so that I would understand them.
Because we're best
And
friends.
so you're always using
Like, how can I explain this to
cookies
Dave?
and candy. It's like, well, all right, Dave, imagine there's a bowl of candy.
There's a whole cake.
And what you don't know is there's a bigger bowl of candy somewhere else.
Right. So the next one says prayer exercises increases faith.
Yes.
Right. So and that, I mean, this flows very well, right? So you ask, you realize, oh, maybe I wasn't asking for the right thing, or I wasn't asking devoutly. Then you ask, you're praying in a devout manner.
Or when you get what you ask for,
And you get
that
what you-
also
and-
increases your faith.
And even in an abundance, like you get more.
Yeah.
Like, not only did I ask for this job, but then I got this job, and it is just
paid more than I thought.
Yeah.
Or like sometimes when you get exactly what you ask for, like to me that's in like a weirdly specific way that that's happened to me just a few times, but very, 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 very specifically, and like that in those moments has made huge impacts on my faith. You
Right.
know.
Yeah, the whole prayer of God, if this is your will, hit me with a spiritual 2x4 across
Right.
the head, so
Yeah.
I'm aware of this is what you want from me.
Because I've also had moments in my life where I've really sat down and said, like, am I fooling myself with this whole God stuff? Like, just like moments where you question his whole existence. Sure. And it's like, maybe I'm just like I'm a big fool. But then I can think back on those moments where he's clearly heard my prayers and, answered me and shown his presence to me. And it's like, I'm very thankful for those because makes it very easy to dispel doubts or questions, whatever.
And the next one said, which piggybacks off what you just said, our prayer strengthens our hope in God.
Mm-hmm.
So God, it is true, might bestow on us all things abundantly, although we did not ask for them or even think of them, just as he bestows on the irrational creation all things necessary for the support of life.
Yeah, I mean, prayer waters the soul. It's like when you put seeds in the ground and you water it, why does it grow? I don't know. It's like, it's a miracle. That stuff today I put a tree in the ground. And
You
now,
did?
Yeah.
In your backyard?
In my front yard.
Front yard.
In the garden. It's a Japanese maple tree.
Oh, nice.
Juan had an extra one, so he gave it to me.
Way to go, Juan.
I put it in the ground, and it was like looking kind of rough, but now that it's in the ground, it's going to live. Like, that's weird, right? Like, the dirt just does it. Well, it's because God, like, he does it. So praying, it's like watering your soul, and God will make it grow.
And prayer increases charity, which is the next one.
Okay.
It continues, if prayer is an elevation of our soul to God, and as you come in more in relation and communion with God, your charity is naturally going to grow.
Charity will grow if you pray with honesty. If you are willing to be honest and vulnerable, and allow God to show you who you really are.
Because there's sometimes that I've actually prayed and been like, listen, Lord, I'm praying this, and I'm not gonna fool myself. Like, I'm not fooling myself here. I actually don't want this, but I know that this is what, like, you pray the litany of humility. There's sometimes you're praying something and you're like, I don't know if I actually want this.
I hate that prayer.
But I know that this is good for me, and my heart that I at least desire to want it. I may not want it, but I at least desire to want it because I know it's a greater good. Maybe I'm not disposed to actually obtain it yet. Maybe I'm not, holy enough actually to truly desire it.
Yeah. And if you go in with that kind of attitude where you're willing to reform, that's when you can grow in charity. When you realize, like, oh wow, I need God's grace. more than I realized before this prayer, I need to be more charitable with others.
We have a few more. If you're listening
We'll
on
keep
the
going.
radio, subscribe to our podcast and check it out. We're on the Lord's team.
The winning side.
So raise your glass.
And cheers to Jesus.
Okay, let's just keep rolling. Is that a good one? Are you okay with that one?
Are we rolling or like tumbling?
Yeah, probably like stumbling.
When was the last time you rolled down a hill?
It would be February 8th of 2006.
That is a drastically more specific answer than I thought I was going to get. 2006, though, was a long time ago.
Hey, guess what today is?
Tuesday.
Today, 35 years ago, I became Catholic.
Ah, happy baptism day.
Yeah,
Feast of
thank
St.
you.
Thomas Mortum.
Yeah.
I need a refill.
Yeah. 35 years ago today, I went from darkness into light.
Is that when you were baptized?
Yes.
Okay.
I went
That's why I said happy baptism day to him.
from being pagan, from being a heathen, to be entering into the bride of Christ.
Yeah, I wasn't even born 35 years ago. You are so old.
Yeah. Right.
Cheers to you.
Thank you.
Wait. To being reborn.
What do you mean, like going back into your mother's womb?
Isn't that the weirdest question?
Well, I mean, it's like they had never really encountered, like,
What do you mean you have to? Yeah, but it's like,
you know, that's not possible.
It's like, I have a stupid question. There is no stupid questions. So. Do you mean?
Going back into your mother's womb? You know what? I take that back. There is stupid questions. That's one of them. Exhibit A. Let's move on.
that's going to be a problem for me because she died.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I do still want to go to heaven.
Right. Okay, so we were talking about, so the last one was prayer increases charity. The next one says, prayer disposes the soul of divine blessings. Sometimes it takes, your soul has to be capable of receiving the blessing. The disposition has to be able to be receptive to blessings.
Yeah. I mean, I've mentioned this before. I'm going to just mention it again. I'm going to keep mentioning this probably for the rest of my life. But
Let's do it.
when I did Exodus 90, that just changed my prayer life a lot. And I've just seen many blessings in my life, just speaking personally, that I feel like God was waiting until I was ready. He wanted to give them to me. And I don't mean anything crazy. I just really mean blessings of prayer, kind of. I'm now finding it just such a huge blessing to have this small prayer life that I have.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I'm getting other stuff out of it, but that it itself is.
It's its own end.
Yeah, is a blessing.
What's the teleology of this?
Heaven.
The end.
Heaven. Yeah.
To rest in Him.
So I mean, yeah, like that's. I just see that. He wants great things for you, but like, He's not going to give you a grace if your soul is not disposed to it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I'm not giving my son a pocket knife until he's mature enough to be able to handle it.
Right. Yeah. Or
Is
like,
that a good? I went out
that
without
one. That one
sweets.
doesn't make sense to me because it's not about
okay.
cookies.
Oh. Okay. I'm not gonna give you a birthday cake unless it's your birthday. No, that doesn't work either. I'm not gonna give you a big slice unless you're old enough to where you don't bounce off the walls after eating it.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
Okay. Good.
Why didn't you just say that in the first time?
Sorry. You know what? Mea culpa. The next one says prayer makes us realize our own needfulness.
Mm-hmm.
It kills pride, right?
That's a lot like
the charity. It's a lot,
yeah, exactly. A lot of these have a lot in common, right?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it kills pride.
But it's not exactly the same.
Right. Prayer is a protection against the devil. know, the big one of
Can't forget that one.
Auxiliary Christian Orum that
Yeah.
we pray. We did a whole episode on the Auxiliary Christian Orum, which I highly recommend going and listening to, or at least in the very download the app and start praying it.
Also, go listen to the episode we did on the St. Bridget prayers.
I totally forgot we even did that.
Love those prayers. Everything that you should be praying for every day is in there. Like, Pamela and I were just talking about this the other day. She made the comment, I'm so glad we pray for that every day. In this, like, I probably wouldn't pray for that every day if it wasn't in these St. Bridget prayers. I mean, almost everything that you need to pray for, or that we should be praying for, is in there.
Is in there. Like the Our Father.
The Our Father's in there 7 times.
The next one is prayer promotes a virtuous life.
Totally.
It says, from prayer we also derive this important advantage that though we are inclined to evil and to the indulgence of various passions as a consequence to our natural frailty, God permits us to raise our hearts to him in order that while we address him in prayer and endeavor to deserve his gifts, he may be inspired with a love of innocence and, by effacing our sins, be purified from every stain of guilt.
All that sounds really good.
Thank you. I wrote that.
In the Catechism.
In the Catechism, the Council of Trent.
That was my one contribution to the book.
And they took it. So.
They were wise to do so.
Yes.
You know, like
the last one though, the last one.
Yeah, let's do the last one.
Let's get the last one out I'll let you read it because I'm interested in just getting your reaction.
German or something?
No, I'm interested because it says prayer disarms the divine vengeance.
I knew that.
Prayer disarms the divine vengeance.
That's what you call mercy, my friend. You mean to read the whole thing?
Or at least the beginning.
Finally, as St. Jerome observes, prayer disarms the anger of God. Hence, these words of God addressed to Moses. Let me alone. When Moses sought by his prayer to stay the punishments God was about to inflict on his people, nothing is so efficacious in appeasing God when his wrath is kindled. Nothing so effectually delays or averts the punishments prepared for the wicked as the prayers of men. So, mercy.
But it's just something I don't really think about probably enough.
Like, if you ask for his mercy, he will give it to you. He won't give it to you necessarily if you don't ask for it.
Just like maybe there's times I would not give my son a cookie if he did not ask for a cookie. But when he asks for one, I will definitely give him one.
Will you?
At times.
Next time I'm over here, I'm going to be like, hey, Luke. Go.
If we have some, I mean,
hey,
according to the circumstance, according to your state in life.
I'm going to be like, Luke, go ask your dad for a cookie and then bring it to me. And then you can ask for another one for yourself. He'll give it to you. But really, I think like what prayer does the most is it aligns your intellect,
and your will,
your soul. It just aligns your person and your faculties to reality. That you become slowly more and more able to see yourself the way that you really are.
And the way God sees you.
Which is the way that you really are.
Right. I just wanted to reiterate in a different term.
Like, so if you're a chocolate chip cookie, you're not thinking that you're
sugar.
Or a chocolate chunk cookie. Because, you might get those.
There's a difference.
There's not the same. Obviously, chocolate chunk's better. But a lot of similarities.
A higher state in life.
A lot of similarities there between the chocolate chip and the chocolate chunk. But that's what it does. So because you see yourself better, which is why I think in order to be humble, you need to first come to know yourself. Being humble is not about valuing other people more. It's actually about valuing yourself rightly, and seeing yourself exactly right. That way, you now see how important it is to have this, to be like in relation with other people, like charity towards other people. You now understand how truly important it is because of the fact that everything you've received was charity, was love and a gift from God. Mm-hmm. So the more oriented we are with reality, with truth, the more we're capable of recognizing truth all the time in other people and other things. And so prayer is the way that we do this. So if you don't have a habit of prayer, then you don't have a habit of reality. You don't have a habit of truth. You know, like you don't have a habit of these other... the only way to get them is by having a habit of prayer. I think it's better to pray in the morning, less distracted. That contemplative prayer.
Sure. No, I agree.
Better in the morning.
And you're not tired.
I'm tired in the morning when I pray.
Well,
different kind of tired.
Kind of tired than at the end of the night.
Yeah, it is. But yeah.
I also like, if you're listening to this and you're saying like, yes, I'm going to step up my prayer game, I highly recommend starting small. And I know that doesn't sound like with great fortitude, it doesn't sound like that it is magnanimous, but because you haven't worked on that virtue of prayer, it's going to be very easy to do it really once or twice and then burn out and go out in flames.
Yeah.
Start out small and then add a little bit, after 3 months, add a little, maybe add something else. Develop the habit of carving out the time throughout the day to pray and reorient yourself towards God, instead of saying like, you know what, tomorrow I'm getting up at 5 a.m. and for the first 2 hours of the day I'm going to do nothing but prayer.
Every day from now on. Yeah. Also be specific. I found that Exodus 90, one of the things was the minimum was 20 minutes of contemplative prayer a day. That's why I started doing 20 minutes a day, because that was the minimum, okay? And now that's just what I have. And I found saying, by having myself like, and I look at the clock. Okay, I do the daily readings. I look to see what time it is so that I know what time am I going to be done with 20 minutes. It sounds a little rigorous, but it's not. Because what it does is it safeguards me. It's all of a sudden the temptation of saying like, well, you've prayed for 18 minutes. That's good enough. What's the difference? That temptation is totally disarmed. It has no sway over me whatsoever. I pray for 20 minutes. That's what I do.
Right.
Whether I'm praying well or not, if I'm just like having terrible prayer, I'm just like the worst prayer today. I'm going to be the worst prayer for 20 minutes. Even
but I'm still giving you 20 minutes,
Even if in reality I'm not receiving any grace from the terrible prayer I'm offering, like I'm not. My soul is.
I think intention matters.
I'm not putting myself in the right. I'm just saying, like, what's the worst you can do?
Right.
If that's the way I'm praying, I'm still going to do it for 20 minutes. And so, like, having that specificity, actually, it's like another one of examples of rules give you freedom. So now all of a sudden, I'm free to pray. I'm not under attack from have you prayed? Oh, that's good enough. That's long enough. That's long enough.
Right.
That's good enough. You've prayed for long enough.
That's the beauty also of the hour of adoration. A couple of years ago I didn't have a designated hour of adoration. I would be like, oh, well, I'm traveling. I can't really designate a full hour, so I'll just go whenever I can.
When I can.
And so I would go, and I would
on occasion, right? Yeah, you would actually go.
Well, I would go typically almost every week. But it would just be
it's pretty good.
It would be a different timing.
Yeah.
But there would be times where it's like, okay, that's 48 minutes. I have to get back to work, and I would move on. Like I would make maybe excuses, but they were like kind of justified excuses. Like I could be doing something else. But the hour, like if you have a designated hour, you're not going anywhere. It's like, no, I'm here for an hour.
I can't
leave.
It's my hour.
Right. It just changes, like you said, the temptation of...
It's freedom. You have a freedom now because there's a rule.
Right. I hope that was beneficial to at least one person.
It's beneficial to me, so...
Sweet. Juan got nothing out of it.
You got a glass of whiskey.
You know what? Yeah. Don't be ungrateful, Juan.
And with maybe a refill. I don't know.
Sí. Yes. Sí. Mucho.